Mark Zuckerberg has been building a bunker. Yes, an underground bunker worth $100 million. Okay, some people say 200 million. Some people say $100 million. We don't quite know. It's all speculation about the amount. But nevertheless, the Facebook creator or promoter or whoever, engineer, architect, is building an underground bunker for the future. I don't know why. So let's try to dive into this. It's intriguing, all right? A bunker. Well, what's wrong with a big house with 2 stories house, 4 stories or 6 stories? Why an underground bunker? Zuckerberg and his wife Priscilla Chan are constructing a gigantic compound known as Cloud Ranch on his land, which is most likely to cost over $200 million. Obviously, you see, the amount of money is a lot. So Zuckerberg is building apparently a bunker where everything is included, security, water, electricity, food, drinks, entertainment. I'm sure you've seen bunkers. Sorry about that. I'm sure you've seen bunkers in movies and stuff, apocalyptic movies and big stuff like that. What do you need a bunker for? Usually you need a bunker when something apocalyptic is happening, right? A bunker, you go underground. Okay, so you go protect yourself from what? From a nuclear bomb. We've seen movies, deadly virus where everybody falls on the ground and nobody survives and you have to go underground to survive. Is Mark Zuckerberg ahead of the herd? Do they know something we don't know about? And this is not limited to Mark Zuckerberg because they say numerous billionaires, including Bill Gates, Oprah Winfrey, Richard Branson of Virgin Atlantic, some of the richest guys in the world, Larry Page, have all bought large chunks of land on islands, and specifically on islands. These are not things happening in big land, big countries. They're choosing specifically island to go build bunkers. What's the reason for that? Are billionaires prepping for an upcoming apocalypse? We need to ask the question. What is the tendency? Why do you want to go underground? Why do you want to go 100 meters, 500 meters underground to build a house? What for? Don't you like oxygen? We look at what's happening in the world. Let's just think about it. We were in the branch of a nuclear war with Russia. What would happen if that was the case? If Russia had to throw some of its nuclear weapons alongside China, India and America? The civilization will be down under, but in the meantime, some people have to protect themselves. Do you think Mark Zuckerberg, by just pleasure, will want to build a $200 million underground house? What's interesting here is that Zuckerberg is not just building a bunker. He's also launched himself into farming. So his compound will have specific areas dedicated for farming. So cattle, sheep, and organic food. So in the meanwhile, they're preaching you all that other foods. It's okay to buy genetically modified foods because there's nothing wrong. It's one of these guys that said, it's a big guy. I'm not going to say his name because most of the time when you mention his name, the video is throttled. It's slowed down. You get shadow banned. So what they do generally is when you talk about subjects that are very sensitive, they don't necessarily block your video. They're just going to slow it down. They don't censor you by censoring you openly because then it sounds suspect. What they're going to do is they shadow ban you. So they're going to slow down your video, unfortunately, so that many people don't see it. And I'm not saying that this is what's going to happen. I'm not saying apocalyptic event is happening. I'm just speculating. We're just trying to think with our brains here. Why would so many of these guys with so much money invest themselves into buying big lands and building bunkers? What do you need the bunker for? That's a big question. We also know that besides the possible nuclear war with Russia, there was a program where they said I'm not going to use the proper word. I'm sure you're going to understand. There is a program that's being planned to change completely the way we interact with money. You heard about that? Yes, the way we exchange, we buy services. They say this system is obsolete. It's not working anymore. So they need to create a brand new system. So basically, money will be of no use. And my question is, your money in the bank will be of no use when this moment comes. Many people have jumped into the wagon, the train of the stories, even many people with crazy ideas, how you call them. But my question is, believing in everything is stupid. Yes, I agree. Not believing in everything is also stupid. So you as a human being, as an intelligent being, you should selectively pick things you should investigate about. So don't just believe things Zack says because you like Zack's face or you like him as a friend. Go do your own research. Why are these people buying big lands in remote areas? Why are these people building bunkers and plenishing it with food, water, electricity, sources of energy, alternative to survive years inside? What is the goal of that? Do you think if somebody's got too much money, then you just want to waste money into things you will never use? Really? I don't believe so. I think people invest a lot of their time, a lot of their millions into things they firmly believe will be necessary in the future. Are we perhaps blinded to something that's happening, that's coming very fast, and we don't know about? These are the big questions. So most of the people are coming up with theories saying that there's probably an apocalyptic event that's coming that we don't know about. And many expensive properties in Hawaiian islands are owned by wealthy people. You know what's happening in Hawaii lately? There was a massive fire that we don't quite know what happened. And many people lost their properties. And in a very strange way, I was watching a video where somebody was explaining how apparently the wealthy people's houses didn't burn down. So the poor people's houses burnt down to the ground, but the wealthy people's houses didn't burn. So my question is, since when the fire knows the difference? This is a wealthy person's house. Let's not burn it. Let's go to the poor people's. Unless somebody or some people were practically selecting which house is going to burn down and which others will not burn down. Because the bottom line is all the houses that was burnt down, those land were finally purchased very quickly by rich people. What is the goal? From an island, you can operate without necessarily being overlooked by a government. You know, they're not going to be on your nose all the time because it's a private island. So many things can happen. We can plot about A, we can plot about B. Nobody's going to come and watch us because this is a private island, right? What's happening to the world? Fellas, I think what we need to say here is that we live in a world where not government decides for the people. People who decide for the people are actually business people. People with a lot of money. Those are the people that decide the future of a nation. Because people of a lot of money in most countries are the people that sponsors those people, those presidents, those governors that you know, in order for them to make decisions. Okay, so if you're not working for the interest of the business people, you most likely not going to be president. We saw that with Trump. Many people don't like Donald Trump. One of the reasons why, even though they don't mention it, is because Trump has his own money. And I'm not saying he's a perfect guy. He's not. I'm not saying he's a good guy. Well, it's relative, depending on which side of the Donald Trump you want to look at. Many people do not like him because he doesn't need your money. Many of other candidates in America need some sponsorships to run their own election campaign, to have their own, visual, whatever, to win the elections. And once you win the election and you get money from sponsors in order to run the election, you are obliged to send them an opportunity to make money back. Example for this is very simple. Let's say you've been sponsored by somebody that sells food. Once you become president, what do? You find the opportunities to send in business. How? Maybe army or the soldiers or the police force needs food. You as a president will try to pull strings so that the food of the army is purchased from that person that sponsored you to become president. Same for weapons. Same for many other things. And so these are the people that actually run the world. As much as we sit down thinking it's the president that has to decide. Well, president in some of these countries has to listen to his bosses. Now, we are talking about billionaires building underground bunkers. What's the goal for that? Mark Zuckerberg, underground bunkers worth $200 million. Zuckerberg only has his wife and a child. How many kids does he have? Like one or two, I think. What's the need of $200 million bank? What's that for? Unless they know something that's going to happen. Maybe a crazy disease will take everybody out. Maybe. Or maybe World War III with nuclear weapons. We don't know. Or maybe something else. Maybe the economy will collapse. People will suffer. It's going to be dangerous out there. We don't know. Let me know how you feel about this, fellas. How do you feel about this? All these big guys building bunkers. Where are you going to hide if anything drastic ever had to happen? What would be the last thing? What would be the thing that you would do? Where would you go? Would you take your family with you? Where would you go? What direction would you take? God bless.